Hey everyone, Scott here, and today we are going to post-process an image of the botanical building in Balboa Park. So if you saw the In the Field episode where I went out to Balboa Park and took this image of this botanical building, a little photobombing from a bird, you know that I had to take a couple of different shots. The lighting conditions changed during the shoot. There was this bird wandering around in the front, and I need to blend a couple of exposures together. So let's head over to the computer and I'll show you how that went. So here are the two frames that we're going to blend together. The intention is to take this nice lit building and bring in some of the blues from the blue hour into this otherwise very dark sky. And of course get rid of our friend the bird down here in the lower corner. So with these two images selected, you can see I've done nothing to them. They're just straight out of the camera. I'm fine with the exposures the way they are, and there wasn't any other things I needed to clean up. There's some small spots and things like that, but I'll take care of those after blending. So I'm just going to send these over to the Perfect Photo Suite and start the merging work. All right, here we are in Perfect Layers, and we have our two layers loaded. On the top, we have the nice, purple colored building, and on the bottom, we have the nice sky where the lighting of the building went out, but we got the nice blue hour sky. So the first thing to deal with is some obvious distractions. We got Mr. Bird down here in the lower left. For the top layer selected, I'll grab the eraser and just sweep over the bird here, get him out of the way. When I was shooting, I was paying attention to where the bird was, so he was not in the way of the reflection. That made this job a little bit easier. The other thing to deal with is got some koi fish that are swimming around here, and they're making streaks in the water. This was about a 20-second exposure, so they're getting long motion exposure of koi fish. Not really the artistic idea I had for this shot. So we'll use the eraser to remove some of these streaks, and I won't go through all of them. This is something that is doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of skill. It really just takes a bit of time, and for you guys to sit here and watch Scott erase spots is about as fun as watching paint dry. So we'll just get a few of the major ones that can be construed as major, like large spots in the photo. All right, so that's looked pretty okay. All right, now to bring in the blues from the sky. So what we have is on the top, we've got the dark black sky, and on the bottom we have the blue hour. Now notice that the color difference between the blue here and then the dark silhouette of the building in the lower layer, it's very pronounced, and that's a good thing. And the top layer, while this looks very dark, it is still a very, it's not black, it's a dark blue, and that is going to be similar to some of these blues that are in the spire. So to make masking easier, I'm going to do the mask on the lower layer because that's where the greatest color difference is. And I think for this, I'm just going to use the masking brush with the perfect brush selected. And I'm just going to bring this all the way up and just start painting through. And what we're going to see is the checkerboard pattern because there's no other layer beneath the bottom layer here. But just sweeping through like that, and that looks really nice. That's very, very clean. Let's take a closer look. It's clean all through those edges there, because that uniform blue in the blue hour made that masking very, very easy. Now I want to take this mask and copy it. So mask, copy mask, and I'm going to bring that up to my top layer. Let me reactivate the top layer. And now I will do a paste mask. Now, of course, this guy's entirely gone. I'm going to click on the lower layers, that's my active layer, and do mask, reset mask. Now what that does is it's brought back in our standard picture on the bottom, and on the top, we now have punched down to show that nice blue. Now that's great. The next thing we need to do is to deal with the reflections down here in the lower. Again, I'm going to show you the lower layer. You can see these little blues have come in a little bit more. And the upper layer, there's still more black. I'm going to use the same technique with the masking brush. I'm going to paint out something. Now, if I do it at 100%, let me just turn off the perfect brush for a second and sweep through here. Oops, I am on the wrong layer, top layer. If I sweep through here, you're going to see what happens is I'm getting the blues, but I'm also losing the color of the building. I don't want that. So I'm going to use the perfect brush, and I'm going to lower my opacity down to maybe 75 to start with. And as I sweep through, so I'm going to click and start sweeping through, I'm being very careful to keep that minus sign in the black areas of the photo. Okay, and that's brought in some of the blues there. Looks like I missed some spots over here, something like that. Maybe over here. This area, that's the trees that are reflecting, so that makes sense. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and we ended up bringing in one spot from the bottom layer. If I were to hide that, you can see this is one of those fish from the bottom layer. We'll deal with that in just a moment. Looks like I got a couple more over here too. But color-wise, this is looking very good. So I'm going to just merge these together. Merge the layer down, and this will be the composite that I work with. The last bit to do is I'll grab the eraser again. We'll zoom in and just take care of these couple of spots that we revealed by virtue of masking in these colors on the bottom. Okay, and fit. So there we go. So this is the image that we'll work with. Let's see, there's one other very slight distraction. That little tiny light bulb, it doesn't mirror the opposite side. And if you recall, I was really going for symmetry on this. And so that looks better now. That was a subtle one. So there we go. We're going to take this now into Perfect Effects. Okay, so here we are in Perfect Effects, and there is really very little I want to do to this image. I'm very happy with the color. I really just want some contrast, a little punch. Just use dynamic contrast. I'm going to use natural, and that in and of itself, I just really like. It just pop things nicely. There's no contrast to worry about in the sky. I don't really need to mask anything away. And that's the only thing I'm going to do to the image here in the photo suite. There's a couple of final touches I'm going to apply back in Aperture. So let's get this over back into Aperture and finish it off. Okay, back in Aperture, and really the last bit to do here is this feels just slightly dark. The colors aren't as vibrant. I'm going to try the just to start off with to see what it does. The automatic button, and that actually looks pretty good. Let's see what it's done here. It's done nothing in there, nothing in there, nothing in there. It's done a very slight touch on the vibrance, just at the curves a bit, and did a bit of highlights and shadows. I'm not sure if I'm going to like what it did there. Yeah, it's kind of muddying the bottom of the, making it a little more saturated, a little too purpley. I'm going to turn that off. I'm not going to use that option there. I'm curious about what it did with the curves here. So it brought the luminance of the center up. What if I were to grab a point and deepen the shadows just a little bit, and then maybe kind of sway that up a little bit farther to see what that does. That's really kind of the magic of that auto setting there. Looks pretty all right. Maybe just a little more deepness in some of the purple. And the way to do that, I'll add another curve, and I'll use the green channel. And let me drop a point in the center to kind of keep things anchored a bit. And we'll tug that green curve down. You can see if I bring it up, it gets too much green. If I bring it down just that little bit, that's a nice. It's just a little bit deeper and richer, particularly in some of these reflected colors on the facade of the building. And the last thing I'll do is I'll add a sharpening brush, so I have a hotkey for that, S. And I want the building itself quite sharp, so let's get my brush a decent size, sweep through here, and just sharpen the main part of the building. That's good. And then for the reflection, I'll just back off the strength of the sharpening and do kind of the same thing, sweep through here so that that area looks pretty nice. And so we can visualize that. And then what I missed some stuff in the center there. Let's take care of that. And I missed some stuff at the top of the building. Let's take care of that. So, and I'm okay if I bleed over into the sky because there's nothing to sharpen in the sky. It's actually easy enough to clean up too. Detect edges, do that. Brush right through there to remove sharpness from the sky. And I guess the main reason to do that is just so there's no artifacts that show up. Big click over there, right inside that guy. That's nice, okay. Cool, and I'll use this feather brush. This is something that Aperture has that I'm really hoping comes to some other suites, hopefully the Perfect Photo Suite in the future, just to smooth transitions between different strengths of brush strokes. And it kind of just to feather out edges and things like that to get nice, smooth, soft transitions. This is something I will miss when Aperture is gone, and hopefully I will see it in a tool soon. So there we go. There you go. That's the stylization of this photo. So, from, let's see if I have everything here. Yep. So from the shoot, we had the nice twilighty colored building here, and we got rid of the bird. We brought in some of the blues from the sky of this image, and then finished it up with the blending, and a very little bit of stylization and some sharpening to get the final image. So there it is, really pretty simple, pretty straightforward blending, and then the rest of the stylization is really to taste. I wanted that image sharp and crisp, and I wanted the colors just so. And it was really easy to do. It was not a difficult post-processing exercise. So there we go. That's it for this edition of In the Field, in post. And again, let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Leave a comment, drop me a line on the website. Make this a two-way conversation. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again soon.